All right, let's get this started. This is book one. It's called Around the Circle. It's an Enneagram book. It's by Jeff Cook and the TJ Wilson. This is book one of 5, and we're beginning with the intro, which is entitled, What Do You Want? We start with 2 epigraphs. The first is from Aristotle. Every art and study, similarly, every action and pursuit is believed to aim at some good, and therefore the good, the capital G good, has rightly been defined as the target at which everyone aims. The second is by Arthur Schopenhauer, German philosopher. He says, a man can choose what he wants, but he cannot want what he wants. 1. An acorn believes something ridiculous when it looks at an oak tree, and yet what it believes is true. I was made to look like that.
Part 2. A culture like ours often thinks the height of human maturity is becoming more wealthy, more famous, more attractive, more powerful. But it takes little effort to think of someone who is wealthy, famous, attractive, and powerful, who is the opposite of mature, who is in fact miserable. Apparently, maturity is about something else. Part 3. The story is told of a medieval peasant who stumbled out of a tavern toward home but took a wrong turn in the woods. The man emerged from the forest at a large castle gate and was greeted by a sentry who yelled down at him, "Who are you? What do you want?" Shaken by the question, the drunken man paused for a long moment until the sentry said again, "Who are you? What do you want?" Prodded, the man looked up and with a clear voice asked the sentry, "How much money do they pay you to stand guard here all night?" This time the sentry paused, thought for a moment, lowered his spear, and yelled down his wage. Without hesitation, the lost man said, "I will pay you double that amount if you come to my home each morning and ask me those 2 questions."
4. Who is Luke Skywalker if he doesn't want to join the rebellion and become a Jedi Knight like his father? Who is Dorothy Gale if she doesn't want to return home? Who is William Wallace if he doesn't want freedom? Who is Furiosa if she doesn't want to rescue her enslaved and abused sisters and escape to the Green Place? Who is Andy Dufresne if he doesn't want to break out of Shawshank prison and go where the sea is blue and has no memory? Who is Clarice Starling if she doesn't want to save the senator's daughter from the lair of a monster, to silence her own shames and become a hero like her dad? Who is Rocky if he doesn't want to go the distance with the champ, doesn't want to be more than just another bum from the neighborhood, doesn't want to prove to himself that he's worthy of the love of the quiet girl who works at the pet store? Who is Ron Burgundy, dare I ask, if he's not delivering the news for San Diego? Without desire, there is no story. In fact, without desire, there's no identity, no heartbeat, no underlying character to be named. Apparently, who you are and what you want are inseparable. Purpose, calling, the voice of vocation, our motives, our deepest desires, whatever we choose to call these core elements of ourselves, these enliven everything we are and all that we're going to become. They pull us forward and they give us self-understanding.
Part 5. Donald Miller began one of his books on life's meaning. If you watched a movie about a guy who wanted a Volvo and worked for years to get it, you wouldn't cry at the end when he drove off the lot testing the windshield wipers. You wouldn't tell your friends you saw a beautiful movie or go home and put a record on to think about the story you'd just seen. The truth is, you wouldn't remember that movie a week later, except you'd feel robbed and want your money back. Nobody cries at the end of a movie about a guy who wants a Volvo. But we spend years actually living those stories and expect our lives to feel meaningful. The truth is, if what we choose to do with our lives won't make a story meaningful, it won't make a life meaningful either. This is the challenge. Many of us don't have a healthy sense of who we are because we cannot name what we actually want. We aim at happiness, yet often miss our target. We follow our instincts, follow our culture, follow the stories laid out by those who came before us. We defer. And then we wonder why we find ourselves fighting worthless battles about temporary matters, achieving meaningless victories that make for an awful story. We come to the spot where we look within and wonder, why am I not happy?
6. On a temple in Greece, a stonecutter inscribed the first command of Apollo, the sun god, know thyself. Because before you can see anything, you must first see yourself. And the best tool we've encountered for talking about our motives, for naming what we want and who we long to become, for naming what makes us happy and displaying it with clarity and ever-expanding flavors is the Enneagram. Part 2 of the intro is called The Tool, and it also begins with an epigraph. To make a man a saint, grace is certainly needed, and anyone who doubts this doesn't know what a saint or a man really is. And that's by the great French philosopher, Blaise Pascal.
Part 1. Look straight ahead at this page.
Actually, this is the audio version. Look straight ahead at something in front of you. You're going to notice something.
You cannot see your nose. Now, look at the page with one eye shut. Suddenly, your nose appears. Our brains play a trick on our field of vision and eliminate the nose from our conscious sight. Though it is right in front of me, without a technique, I am unable to see myself.
2. After his death, a few hundred scraps of paper were found all over the home of Blaise Pascal, who is perhaps the greatest thinker of the 17th century. And on one of them, he wrote, "We desire truth and find in ourselves nothing but uncertainty. We seek happiness and find only wretchedness and death. We are incapable of not desiring truth and happiness, and yet incapable of either certainty or happiness. All our miseries derive from not being able to sit in a quiet room alone. That is why we are so fond of hustle and bustle. That is why prison is such a fearful punishment. That is why the pleasure of solitude are so incomprehensible. That, in fact, is the main joy of being royalty. A king is surrounded by people whose only thought is to divert him and stop him from thinking about himself. Because, king though he is, he becomes unhappy as soon as he thinks about himself. Our evolutionary wiring often insists on a maniacal focus on what's out there, at what we need to do, at what others think of us, at our need to feel safe. And as such, we often fail to pause and really look within to sit for a moment and take an inventory of our inner life and our well-being. But your inner life is who you are. If your inner life is unhealthy, you're going to be sick. If it is grieved, you're going to be sad. If it finds peace, everything else will feel calm. Your inner life is your very self. As one theologian said, you don't have a soul. You are a soul. You have a body. The condition of your soul, your inner self, made up of personality, desire, experience, character, and will, this must come first. As the ancient creation story says, without a soul, we're just dust. So why then is it so difficult to name why I do what I do? Why is it so tough naming who I am and what I want? Perhaps we need a technique for seeing our inner life, for gauging our motives and our trajectory. Perhaps we need something more like a map, something like a mirror, something like language of what it means to be both a human and to be me. We need a tool. We need something sturdy, something that works for those thriving and for those struggling equally. We need something we can employ in our quiet moments to do the architectural work of building our hearts, something that will serve us when we're going 100 miles an hour and we need to get control right now. Few investments are going to hold greater value. 3. So let's talk about the Enneagram. Friends, to lose what I have gained from the Enneagram would be like cutting off my left arm. Few gifts have so radically informed and reshaped the way that I see my heart, see my family, and see my God. Suzanne Stabile says the Enneagram is 9 ways of seeing and being present in the world. Andres Ebert called the Enneagram a mirror of the soul. Most see the Enneagram as a personality typing system. It's a way of categorizing all of us according to our motive. It can be very helpful in making Instagram posts and understanding Harry Potter characters. And of course, the Enneagram can be all of these things. But in my experience, the Enneagram is a map. It is, in fact, 9 overlapping maps that, depending on who we are, show us obstacles that surround our ambitions and the low points where we're most susceptible. At its best, this map gives us wisdom for taking our next step toward emotional health and stability. To go one step deeper, the Enneagram is a theory. And like all other theories, Enneagram is not proven. It's assumed. Theories are like glasses through which we see everything else. So you put them on, you assume them, and then you see new and different realities. But theories only succeed and stick if they can explain our experiences better than all the other theories. Enneagram matters because many of us report that when we first put on the Enneagram glasses, when we looked at our inner life with this story of our type and perspective, we were able to see ourself in clarifying and surprisingly detailed ways, and so did many of the people that we love. So we might say it this way: the Enneagram's not a religion, it's not a spiritual path. The Enneagram is a way of seeing into ourselves and understanding why we engage the world so differently from so many others. At its best, the Enneagram shows me my heart and details how those with a heart like mine flourish. Now that may sound like a stretch, but I know of no other set of lenses which so thoroughly and accurately judges whether I'm healthy, whether I'm stressed, where my inner life is disordered, how I should think about challenges specific to people like me, how I connect best to those I love, where I need to focus for balance, and why I do what I do. The Enneagram shows me why I'm mean. It shows me where I'm kind. It shows me where I am on tilt and where I'm grounded. The Enneagram is kind of like a dashboard, and it reports my best and worst self with blinking lights. Where I'm going high, where I'm going low, and it does so continuously with a deft accuracy. More important still, the Enneagram doesn't leave us in this space of despair and self-hatred. Like all maps, the Enneagram can be prescriptive, and when invited to speak, the Enneagram gives shockingly clear advice for moving my whole self forward.
Part 4. Imagine someone out of balance, who knew nothing about the effects of diet on their body, slowly introduced to food groups, to the differences between fats and proteins and carbs. They might take hold of the knowledge and become introspective. They might say, "Oh, that's what's going on inside of me and why I feel terrible." So too the Enneagram. Enneagram provides basic language for how we process the world and what we long for most. Enneagram gives us a name for our one primary desire, and this desire has real power. It affects all our emotions. It influences how we understand and interact with the world. It elevates in our inner life what we believe is good and what we think is trash. This one big desire shapes how we move and everything we choose, and over time, this single desire becomes like a set of glasses through which we understand ourselves, our pursuits, and what we hold as most meaningful.
Language, by its nature, categorizes. Language takes all the particulars and pulls them into groups. So like specific birds all become ducks and specific plants become trees. And once we can call something a duck or a tree, we can analyze it and find connections. And language gives us power over what we name. And the Enneagram is a language, and it describes our motive. We are all part of a beautifully diverse world of people, and Enneagram gives us big terms for creating some big categories. And these categories fill with very different people, and yet when very different people look within and talk about their inner life, they use very similar language and describe overlapping experiences. They name why they are acting, and anything that can be named can be analyzed, evaluated, and even employed for good. So, Some of us experience a primary need to improve the world and live above blame, type 1s.
To feel loved and needed by others, type 2.
Some of us experience a primary need to be praised and feel successful, type 3s.
To feel special and elevate beauty, type 4. To understand and act with competence, type 5.
Some of us experience a primary need to be part of a community and find assurance, type 6.
For the thrills of new experience while keeping all options open, type 7.
Some of us experience a primary need to appear strong and avoid being controlled by others, type 8.
To avoid conflict and maintain harmony, type 9.
These are the types.
Part 5. No one likes being put in a box. No one likes having their individuality reduced to 9 numbers. Take heart, this is not what the Enneagram does, nor how it ought to be used. Enneagram doesn't name us. It names the glasses we are wearing. Or better yet, it names the instrument we are playing. To participate in the grand orchestra of humanity, we believe it is exceedingly valuable to name if you're playing a saxophone or playing a bass, if you have a flute in hand or a French horn. Suppose you are a drummer but think you're playing the violin. You might do some damage. So let's talk about the 9 types. Finding our type means naming how I see the world. Type gives us a shorthand self-description to tell ourselves and others, this is what I want and how I get it. When I tell someone my type, I am giving a name to my biases, my preferences, and all the predispositions I have when both thinking about my past, future, and present, as well as naming my tactics and all my preferred methods for getting what I want most. The term type has ancient roots, originating from the Greek word typos, meaning a mark made by a blow. The word was used of images and statues. Such chiseled figures have been typed with blows and now share the type, the bearing and countenance, of their model. There's an important move in English that occurred less than 100 years ago. Type began being used to talk about one's inner life. To be someone's type means I am the sort of person that another finds attractive. So type is about how we've been formed, about our character and natural abilities, but it's also about the funnel through which we receive the world in which we think and feel and process. But type is also about our preferred methods for responding to the world. Type is a handy name for people like me who share my same wiring, my same pursuits, my same predispositions, and my same tools to gain what I desire.
6. Many of you already know your type, but it's important to remind ourselves who we are and what self-discovery can feel like. When finding and understanding your Enneagram type, for both those who are new and those who are experienced, we are holding a map and looking for the big red arrow that says you are here. But our eyes must look inward. So how should I find that big red arrow? Here's 7 things that you need to think about when finding your type. First, you need to listen for yourself. In this book, look for language that describes how you experience and engage the world.
Second, we need to look inwards. Sometimes we are so focused on what's next that we do not pause and look at how we are looking and addressing what matters most.
Third, and this is very important, your friends might be wrong. Sometimes our well-meaning pals are going to tell us, you are a specific number. You are a 4. You are a 9. You are clearly an 8. Set all that aside. You and you alone can type yourself.
Next, listen for language that makes you uncomfortable. Uncomfort is a common clue. Enneagram often exposes things we don't like about ourselves, and this is an excellent way to find your type.
Fifth, don't rush. Some will see their type immediately, but for some of us, self-discovery is going to take a little time. Stick with it. Trust yourself. It's very common not to find your type at first.
Sixth, hold it all loosely. Everything that is most valuable about you cannot be put under a microscope.
No one can see the love you have for your kids under a microscope. Nobody can see your most brilliant thoughts under a microscope. Enneagram's not a hard science. This is a discovery of your motive, and you alone can name and unveil what drives you.
And perhaps most important to real knowledge and use of the Enneagram, jump in with a pal. The best way to do Enneagram work is with others, especially with those who love us and walk with us. Reading these descriptions to each other is perhaps the best way to process and uncover how we are wired.
So those are 7 typing encouragements.
Part 7. Coming full circle, what should we say about the Enneagram? The Enneagram is a theory. It suggests that when all the evidence about human motive is in, 9 types will emerge.
The Enneagram is descriptive. It gives us language for how our inner life is formed. Because it employs the language of type, it can tell us why those with types like ours struggle, the gifts they bring to others, and how they successfully wrestle through the worst seasons.
The Enneagram elevates patterns. Like a doctor's manual for all human bodies, the Enneagram is a guidebook for our personality, and it can show me the shape of my immaterial self.
The Enneagram is also prescriptive. Once typed, the Enneagram offers wisdom and resources. It pictures health and wholeness for each type, as well as exposing how those who share our type commonly fall apart.
The Enneagram has predictive power. It unveils why those with types like ours have succeeded or failed, have connected with others or become ostracized, have pushed beyond their fixations or been destroyed by them. The Enneagram is a surgical looking glass. It is a powerful introspective lens giving us a detailed view within our most majestic and tainted self.
The Enneagram, of course, is not a religion. It's not a form of spirituality, nor is it some kind of rival dogma. The Enneagram's closest parallel is music theory. Both music theory and the Enneagram give language to something core in nature that is fixed and part of the grand design. Just as music theory unveils where beauty's intentions emerge in sound waves, so too the Enneagram shows us where our motive connects with others. It can point out the harmonies and highlight when the music within feels majestic and when it feels sour. Both Enneagram and music theory, when employed with wisdom and creativity, can create grand symphonies that fill the world with splendor. So in short, the Enneagram is a map of the human personality.
It's a tool for navigating relationships,
Creates language for what motivates us and helps us look at the way we look at everything else.
Most importantly, the Enneagram is a mirror because sometimes we need help seeing ourselves.
Friends, it's Jeff. This book is live. The full version is available on Amazon in print as well as on Kindle, and these are linked in the show notes. The full audio version of this book is releasing today for paid members at aroundthecircle.org. So if you're interested in listening to the full thing, you can download it there. Just sign up for a membership. It's $20. You get the entire full book today. Or you can listen to chapter 1 if you sign up for a free membership today at aroundthecircle.org. We will be posting the full audio version on audible.com if you prefer that way. That will come on Wednesday. But big thing for us, man, we appreciate all of you. All the cheers, all the support. This has been a 4-year project, and we are so excited to share it with you. So do take a look, and friends, may all good things be yours.